If you're watching this video, that's probably because you want to scale your Facebook ads and you're looking for a process to actually understand how you can scale while maintaining a very high return on the ad spend. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly the 3 phases that we use in our agency Scale It to scale Facebook ads up to $50,000 a day while maintaining a healthy, let's say, return on the ad spend, which is ideally between 2 and 7. As you can see here, we have some results. This is 13th of April. We have spent 2K and generated 15K for a 7.59 return on the ad spend. Here we have spent 1.7K. We have generated 23,000 in one day, 12th of April. Here we have spent 15K in one day and generated 35,000 for a 2.29 return on the ad spend. And here we have spent 2.5K and generated $17,000 in revenue in one day with a 7.09 return on the ad spend. So going back to the topic of this video, the scaling, when it comes to Facebook ads and scaling, there are 3 main phases that you need to go through. Depends on the stages where you are right now. You need to understand exactly what to follow, like what kind of account structure you need and how to allocate your budget accordingly in order to go to the next phase and then start increasing your budget. Because of course, if you start increasing your budget without a specific plan or without knowing your KPIs, you're basically just gonna waste your budget and probably you're gonna burn a lot of money. Okay, let's go to the phases. We have 3 main phases here. The first phase, which is when you're spending between $0 and $300 a day. Phase number 2, when you're spending between $300 and $1,000 a day. And then phase 3, when you're spending between $1,000 and $5,000 per day. Depending on the phase where you are right now, you want to understand what it takes and the things that you need to have in order to move to the next phase. Okay, let's start with phase number 1. So phase number 1, your main goal is testing, and what you have to test is basically test ad creatives, test products, test offers, and test landing pages. And your goal here is to find the winning set of ad creatives. Ideally, you want to have 5+. You don't want to stick with 1 or 2 ad creatives and then you want to move to the next phase. Otherwise, the moment you move to the next phase, your return on ad spend will maybe can stay good for a couple of days and then it's going to drop suddenly. You need to find the winning product or products if you have more than one, winning offers and winning landing pages. And so during this phase, the way you need to structure ad account to actually do this is basically this. So you need to keep it very simple. 1 testing campaign, 1 Advantage Shopping Plus, 1 ad set, 30 to 50 creatives inside this Advantage Shopping Plus. And the only thing that you need to do is basically cut losers if the spend is above 1 to 2x your AOB and return on ad spend is below the target. You need to refresh creatives every 1 or 2 weeks. And of course, you can even start with static ads only. Some of the results that you've seen here, like for instance this one, 2.5K a day, 7x on the ad spend, is done just with static ads. So you can definitely go this far with static ads. And yeah, so you don't have to worry about it. Static ads allows you actually to test much faster. Different concept, angles, products, landing pages and everything. So during this phase, what you want to do, you want to keep your costs low and you want to keep your return on ad spend high, because you need to basically understand what are the best performing angles and everything. And then ideally during the phase 2, you can start producing more UGCs just on the things, so videos just on the things that you know are working, so you avoid wasting time and budget, especially during this phase. What's the outcome of this phase? The outcome of this phase is basically you have the right combination of winning ad creatives, product, offer, and landing page. And then, of course, when you have your set of at least 5 ad creatives that are winners with a good engagement you can duplicate into a scaling campaign, then you want to move to the stage number 2. Stage number 2 is when you're spending between $300 and $1,000 per day. The account structure to have during this phase is basically divided into 2 main campaigns, 1 testing campaign and 1 scaling campaign. Very simple ad structure. Testing campaign, you want to have 1 ABO or CBO. You need to test what is working for your account. Now, a lot of people here usually ask me, what is the best combination? Like, what is the best type of campaign that I should run? Should it be an ABO or a CBO? What's the difference? So for people that don't know it, the difference is that CBO spend the budget automatically across the ad sets within the campaign based on what is supposed to bring you the best return on ad spend, so the best performance actually. Then we will see what performance means. ABO, you choose the budget to allocate to each single ad set within the campaign. The problem with CBO, that's why it comes to performance, like what that actually performance means. Performance for Facebook could mean the CPA. And then if you, in the CBO, if you're promoting different offer, different products, and then you have the lowest CPA, but also the AOV for that specific offer is low, Meta is spending all the budget in that specific ad set within a CBO setup, because the CPA is the lowest, but the return on ad spend is not necessarily the highest. And that's why most of the time the CBO is not the best option. And also CBO sometimes mess up when it comes to videos, like so when you have content with a lot of engagement. CBO tends to spend more budget on the creative, they have very high engagement, and sometimes static images, they don't get engagement and they get a very high return on the ad spend. So that's why maybe in your case, ideally you should go with an ABO. We prefer ABO in our agency. Sometimes we see the CBO setup works well when we have already like a good offer, so we already know what we're doing. Yeah, this is basically the explanation. I will probably make another video in the future when I go more into details about the difference and when you should choose an ABO and when you should choose instead a CBO. What you want to have is one ad set per test, and you want to have 5 to 8 ad creatives inside each single ad set, either an ABO or CBO setup. You want to cut losers as usual if the spend is greater than 1 to 2 times your AOB and return on ad spend is below your target. Want to refresh creatives every 1 or 2 weeks, ideally every week. And you want to test in each single ad set, you want to have the same angle, same type of creatives. You don't want to mix together photos and videos, because if you do it, Meta for sure is going to spend more budget to the videos. And that's not necessarily because of the return on ad spend, but that's probably because of the engagement. Because video itself, there are more engagement kind of signals that Meta can get, like watch time, scroll stopper, hold rate, all those things, and like all those things that go into the engagement bucket for Meta. And so Meta sees that there is a lot of engagement, then they're going to spend more budget into videos, because Meta wants people to have a very good experience on the platform, like the people that show the ads to. And so when Meta sees high engagement, it means good experience for people, and probably means good return for you or good CPA. And then of course things get messed up if your target a very high return on ad spend, like if your goal is return on ad spend basically. So the goal of this campaign is to test angle, test type of creatives, for the winning offer that you already have, for the landing page that you already have, that you know ideally is a winner. In this type of campaign here, you can also keep testing new offers, new landing page if you want to. Just make sure that in each single ad set you're testing one landing page and one offer with the same angle of other creatives and same type of creatives. Ideally what you want to do, you want to match the message in your creative with the message in the landing page. And this is actually a very, very powerful kind of technique that not many brands do. And we have seen the highest return on ad spend when it comes to, this kind of approach. Scaling campaign. Scaling campaign is one advantage shopping plus, one ad set only, 10 to 20 winning ad creatives inside, best offer, best landing page. And then in here, you want to cut losers as well when the spend is above 1 or 2 AOV. Return on ad spend is below the target. Make sure you have at least 5 winning ads. Ideally, you want to have, like as mentioned here, like 5 to 10. You can mix in this case statics and videos. And in this case, the reason why you can do this is because ideally when you move the winners you're gonna use the post ID. So the post ID will also collect engagement. And so Meta, if sees that the static has already good engagement, is most probably gonna spend budget on the statics as well. So you're not gonna have issue with spending more budget on videos. But again, you need to check what is gonna happen inside your ad account, because we have managed like hundreds of ad accounts and every ad account is different. So you need to see how Meta react to the things that you do inside your ad account, and you need to take the decisions accordingly. Now, the outcome in this phase is to have an ad account where you have a consistently good return on ad spend. So your return on ad spend is constant, like in terms of performance over the last 30 days. Then in this case, you can move to the phase 3, so you can scale even further. So phase 3, you're spending, I messed up here, you're spending 1,000 to 5,000 plus per day. Let me check just to be, yeah, 5,000 plus per day. And this phase here is called scaling. Now you need to be very careful here, because you don't want to move to this stage unless you have at least 15 winning creatives and a consistent flow of 5+ winning new creatives every week that you can move into the scaling campaign. Because if you don't have enough winning creatives in terms of volume and in terms of creative types, so static images and videos, you're gonna have huge problems moving to this phase, because the moment that you do it, return on ad spend drops suddenly. And so you might really hurt your margins and profits. The ad structure that you should follow here is one testing campaign. Basically everything stays the same as above. The only difference is that now you need to test more. Something very important to mention is that in both phases, so in this phase here, you can allocate 30% of your budget into this campaign. And in this case, you should allocate 30% to the scaling campaign. In this phase here, based on the performance as well, you want to keep this very similar. So you don't want to be above 30% on testing, ideally even like 20 to 30%. In this phase here, you can go down to 20%, okay? But in this phase here, it's okay to keep 30% because you need to test more in order to scale more. Because at one moment, while you're scaling, the performance will drop. You need to have good creatives and a good creative recycle, I would say, inside the scaling campaign, so you can keep good performance constantly. And yeah, so basically everything stays the same, and you must have more winning creatives inside to avoid return on ad spend drops. During this phase, we're also gonna introduce two different types of campaign: a cost cap Advantage Shopping Plus and a bid cap CBO. So how you want to use these two different type of campaigns. For the cost cap in Advantage Shopping Plus, you need to check first if you have the new function, which is like Advantage Shopping Budget, I think they're called, where you can, it's like an Advantage Shopping Plus where you can pick between ABO and CBO. If you don't have it, just go with a CBO, with an Advantage Shopping Plus standard. If you have it, you can do this in an ABO. What you want to do here, you want to have one ad set per cost cap to test. And in all the ad set, you want to have winning creatives only with post ID only. By the way, make sure that in all the scaling campaign, you want to use only post ID for winning ads, okay? And this is very important. I sometimes give it for granted, but a lot of brands still don't do it. So you need to make sure that you have it also in here, okay? In another video, I explain also how you can use post ID, so how to actually use them. Because sometimes, like, I do a lot of audits, and then in the audits that I do, I always see people doing wrong. They just use the existing post on IG, but that's not how you do it, okay? So going back here, you want to test different cost cap. I already made a video, so you should go watch the video where I explain how to scale Facebook ads using cost caps. So how to test cost cap and everything, just go watch the video so you have better understanding of the entire process. And then at the same time, you want to introduce a bid cap CBO. So you want to have one ad set per bid cap to test. Bid cap within your target range of CPA to be above your target ROAS. So let's say your target ROAS is 2, okay? Then your bid cap, and then your AOV is 100, your bid cap can be 50 or anything around 50. Between 60, 40, and you don't want to go too high, otherwise you're not going to meet your goal in terms of return on ad spend. And then at one point you will narrow down to the best bid cap. So are you gonna, at the end of the day, you're gonna have one CBO campaign that becomes ideally like a campaign with one ad set, the best cost cap, only winning at creatives, and this campaign here should have a very high budget. So if you're spending 5,000 a day overall on the testing and scaling, this campaign here can have another budget of 5,000 a day, for instance. And the reason behind this is because this campaign in a CBO setup is gonna spend only if it can meet the CPA target that you're giving. Differently from the cost cap, because the cost cap sometimes, most of the time, spends even if it cannot meet it, because the goal of like the actual concept of the cost cap is that Meta is gonna kind of promise you to have the cost target, CPA target within a time frame, which is a longer time frame, can be a week, 15 days, 1 month. BidCap doesn't work like this. BidCap is not gonna spend at all if it cannot give you the target CPA that you're giving it. Of course, the probability of the cost cap of the bid cap to don't spend any budget is much higher compared to the cost cap. That's why for the bid cap, you want to have a very high budget, because there are some days that are just good and Meta is going to spend all the budget possible. So Meta sometimes is going to spend 2K, 3K a day, and then other days is going to spend like 20, 30. But that's okay, because it means that in those days, if Meta would have spent, the return on ad spend would have been very, very low, and you don't want to find yourself in that situation, right? So that's why we wanted to introduce cost cap. And this is how you keep a stable return on ad spend while you're scaling to 5K plus per day. Something very important here is that you want to keep your ad account learning less than 50%. So if you go to the ad account, you will see basically this thing here. And in this case, 90% spent in learning phase, where I actually see most of the audit that I do. You should check another video that I made, by the way, which is the 10 common mistakes that I see when I do Facebook ad audits, because sometimes, like, honestly, most of the brands are doing that mistake. So you can actually go check the video and see if you're doing any of that mistake. And this is one of them. Okay, so this is very important, because if you don't do this, it means your entire ad account is not optimized. And so if most of your ads are into learning, you will not be able to scale, because the performance will go up and down. Okay, and yeah, this is basically it, guys. If you have any question, feel free to leave a comment. Remember to subscribe to the channel. If you want to work with us, you will find the link in the description of this video, and I'll see you in the next video.